Actually just start with the numbers because that is something that I wanted to show you. Because I thought it was interesting. I was thinking about it this last week because Kaylee was talking about somebody's relationship and how they're dating this guy that's like complete trash. Or this guy is dating a girl and oh yeah, yeah, some girl is like okay, I remember it. She's like really insecure, absolutely crazy, has like nothing going for her, lives with her parents. This girl doesn't have a job and just like smokes weed all day. And this guy, she's wondering, she's like, why do guys stick with like people like that? And I thought about this, and I was like, I think it's because men don't understand how abundant like a mate is, like how abundant your possible mate is, and so when they get something, when they receive some sort of attention, they'll latch onto it desperately, not understanding it's just a numbers game, and it's a very simple numbers game. If you're a guy and you're say like lower end, say you're just a 6 out of a 10. Okay, you're just a 6. Like you're not a 9, you're not a 10. Say you're a 6 out of 10. Theoretically, 60% of the females you meet will be attracted to you. If you're a 6 out of 10, 60% of the females you meet, that's a lot of people. That is a shit ton of people that will be attracted to you. And I mean, if you want to go down the line, if your personality is, say you're a 6, but your like personality and your motivation or whatever is like a 9, that part of you is attractive to 90% of people you meet. And so guys will like not know their number or not set a number for themselves. Like, then don't be delusional about it. Don't be like if you're a strong walking, 5, don't say you're a 10. Let's be real here. like if you've got no knowledge and you're kind of an idiot, like you don't know how to do anything. Like be honest with yourself, but understand it's a very simple numbers game. Like if it's 50, say you're 5, 50% of women will be attracted to you, and they're not going to outright walk up to you and be like, "Hey, I'm attracted to you." You still have to shoot your shot. You still have to go out there and try and present like your 6 or your 7 of personality, of skill sets and whatnot, and people will be interested. But say you're like an 8 or a 9 and you don't know it, but you're like, say you do kind of know it. Like you're like, okay, I feel like I'm attractive, whatever, and I would rate myself as, say, an 8. 80% of the women you meet will be attracted to you. They're not going to outright say it, but that's a lot. That's a shit ton of people. And so most guys don't know that. So when they get a sliver of hope of any relationship, they'll grasp on, even if it's like a really shitty like partner. They're just going to roll with it and end up in this terrible relationship and stay there for way too long, not knowing that there's 80% of great options out there. And it's kind of sad. I think we've had a lot of friends along the way that were probably 6s or 7s, and they dated 3s. And we were like, why are you dating?
I think a lot of people don't know because they don't get out there. I mean, how else are you gonna know if someone's attracted to you if you
Mhm.
like don't put yourself out there? Like, I mean, I'm guilty of it when in circumstances of my life, especially most of my time growing up. You just come to this conclusion that I'm not attractive or something, and you don't you don't talk to girls. And if you
Mhm.
don't talk to girls, you're not going to get that perception of who's attracted to you.
Mhm.
And if you don't talk to these and get this perception and get this knowledge, then you're just going to come to a presumption in your mind.
Mhm.
And most of the time that's going to be wrong, whether you overshoot yourself thinking you're way too attractive or undershoot yourself. The only way to truly know is to get out there and talk to them. Like I was saying, I didn't realize how many people were attracted to me until I actually went out and started dating heavy and actually talking to a lot of girls in the public. And I'm like, well, wow, actually like I'm better than I think I am. So I think that's, I mean, especially nowadays, that's one of the biggest problems is guys aren't actually getting out there. They're not actually talking to women and socializing and getting that perception, getting that failure that's so needed.
Mhm. Dude, I was saying it earlier. They don't have any skin in the game. You have to risk it. And that guy who's just a 5, who's risking it thinking he's a 10, will get more girls than the guy who's a 9 and is risking as like a 1 or a 2. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, that guy who's a 5 is going to get 10s. I don't know how long those 10s are going to stay around, but like, you have more success so long as you put skin in the game. That's why, like I said earlier, I don't like these. I don't understand the whole dating apps thing. Not that I don't understand it, I just don't respect it. Because there is no skin in the game. Like, it takes no effort to swipe on somebody than to somebody to swipe back, and then you can throw like whatever line or whatever to try to catch their attention. In public, you have to risk it. Like, you have to. It is difficult to push past that barrier of resistance to, like, okay, I'm gonna go speak to this person over text, over a virtual world. You can say whatever the fuck you want, and getting the risk of being blocked, you don't care. But in the real world, like, you're actually risking it. Your heart is beating incredibly fast. You're terrified. You're like, okay, I've got to do this. And that possible rejection will give you everything that you need to know. Not in a sense of like, don't do it again, but in like, how can I improve? Like, how can I actually improve? And in public and in real scenarios, like in real life, going up and speaking to somebody and shooting your shot is always going to be more valuable than the virtual world of shooting your shot, because I personally don't think that shit counts. I'm sorry, I could be wrong, but I personally think it doesn't fucking count. I know people get in great relationships that last a long time from somebody they meet on fuck, what are the Tinder and Bumble. I know that there are people that meet on those and date for years, but do I wholeheartedly think their relationship is legit? Not really. I'm not being a dick. I'm just like, when I hear about dudes like, oh yeah, I met her on Tinder, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, pussy.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm not gonna like lie. Like, I've spent my fair share on dating apps just because of my struggle in the whole dating area growing up. And it's so true. You don't learn from them. I mean, you get rejected on a dating app, then what? Like, what? You might change your pickup line for the next one, but like in all reality, you're not learning, you're not changing, you're not progressing, and it doesn't matter. Like, all those pretty girls, you're still swiping right on. As in, if in reality you're getting a perception of who's attracted to you, you're getting a perception of how to approach girls, you're getting a perception of where I want to find women. And that has been a huge part in my dating life. Is you got to decide what type of women you want and where that woman's going to be, and then go to that place. And that's been a huge thing to me in my life. I like ambition, I like progression, and so I decided I kind of want to find girls in the gym. And so that's where I spend a lot of time. And I'm not like hunting all the time. You know, I want to get a workout and stuff. But at the same time, if I see someone, I'm gonna try to shoot my shot, because that's where that kind of lays. And so if you look at that kind of picture of it, and you're going to the dating apps and that's your place to find someone, what does that say? What type of people are going to be on there? Are those the type of people that you want? You know, imagine you're a girl, you want what qualities she has. Is that girl going to be on the dating apps? And unfortunately for me, that was a definite no. And no wonder dating apps didn't work for me. Is because I'm not going to find, like, don't get me wrong, there's probably some, there's all types of girls on the dating app, but majority of them aren't going to be that ambitious girl that I'm looking for. And so why the heck was I spending all that time on those dating apps, taking all those girls out on dates? I was wasting my time. So I think it's a big thing is you got to go where the girl you want is going to be. And she'll be looking there as well.
Yeah. And I think it's important that on these dating apps, and I know we should be careful about, you know, shitting heavily on these people, but at the same time, on these dating apps, you're building a virtual character. Just like you do on Facebook, X, Instagram, you're building a virtual character, and you can say whatever you want about this character without it actually being true. And so you may be swiping right only on the women like, oh, I love to work out. But there's a good chance that a lot of them don't actually work out. Just like a lot of these women that are swiping right on dudes like, oh, I love to work out, I love to go hiking. I mean, I guarantee that the typical activities, whatever, these people aren't actually fucking doing. A lot of them, they say they like to do these things. And I'm guessing that in reality, a lot of them would love to do these activities in their head, in their virtual world of whatever they would. But in real life, they're not actually doing these activities. And so it's like, if you love hiking, go hiking, go out on these trails. Here in Hawaii, they have hundreds of trails, lots of massive trails, and you can socialize with so many people on these trails. Like Manoa Falls, very well-known trail. Any day of the week, you've got thousands of people walking up and down this trail. There's just tons of people walking this trail, and you can socialize with anybody on this trail. You would talk to literally everybody if you wanted to, and everybody is super friendly. It's like, if you love hiking, if you genuinely love that, and you want to meet somebody that loves hiking, go fucking hiking. And go to places that people typically hike. It's like, if you love going to the gym, don't try and swipe right on people that are like, oh, I like working out, and then you never see them in the gym, or say you do, shoot your shot, you guys start hanging out, and then you find out she doesn't actually like going to the gym. She likes going every so often, but she's not that super interested. That was just something that she put on her profile. Like, but you're the type of person to always be going to the gym. You're like, I'm not really attracted to this person now. They don't like to work out. Like, go do the thing that you like doing. And in doing the things you like doing, you will find the people you want to surround yourself with, including possible mate. And yeah, that's why, personally, very little respect for the virtual dating.
Well, one thing I've learned is men, we have to think about this. We have to think about where is the girl that I want is going to be. Okay, maybe I should go there. I got to look for her. I've learned that girls naturally think that. They're already there. And like I was saying earlier, I believe like 99% of the actions and the places that single women go are to pick up men or to put themselves out there for that man to find them. And so honestly, like, you got a single girl on a hike, I guarantee she's there probably waiting for someone to talk to her. You got a single girl in the gym, like, don't get me wrong, she's probably double dipping, getting a workout in at the same time. But I bet you she's wanting someone to come talk to her. These girls are wanting guys, and that's one thing I've learned is they naturally are going to be in the places of the guy they want. And so if you're that guy, then what's stopping you from talking to them? They're literally waiting for you. They're waiting for you to come talk to them. And so you just got to go do it.
And also, not saying that these activities aren't what people genuinely enjoy doing, but like, there are people that love going to the gym. I've met hundreds of thousands of women that love going to the gym, just religiously work out. They work out at home, they work out at the gym. One of their favorite fucking things to do, like me. Love working out. It's my favorite fucking thing to do. Well, technically second favorite thing to do. But where did I find my current girlfriend? I met her at the gym. Like, let's be honest. I've created this non-negotiable in my mind where it's like, there's no point, and I did this years ago. I had decided that dating apps were just not for me because I'm not going to find the person that I actually enjoy spending time with. It would be too much of a numbers game instead of like an actual experience game, which is what I'm very, very interested in. I like the actual experience of doing the thing, getting rejected, getting the burn, learning. The virtual game can be fun, but I personally don't think it teaches me anything. Whereas, like, going up in public, shooting a shot, getting rejected, girl being like, oh, actually, I like girls, I'm not into guys. It's like, oh, shit, sorry. Like, it's okay. It's good for me. Like, it's good to get that rejection in life. And I think we not even undervalue, but I mean, yes, undervalue rejection. I think it's one of the most important things in life, is to learn that when people say no, it's okay. It's a good thing. It's a great thing when people say no. I think rejection is one of the most amazing things in the world because it teaches you how to refine your pitch, teaches you how to grow. It's just the same as like gym, failure. When you fail at a weight, what do you learn? I need to overcome that weight. Why can I not do that weight? Why am I not able to lift that weight? Are there synergist muscles that I'm not working? Are there some angle that I'm not trying? And same thing in sales. Like when somebody rejects you in sales, like what did I do wrong? Did I throw my pitch out too quick? Did they not gather any information from what I said because I was too monotone the entire time? Do I need to learn how to enunciate? Like when you get real rejection in real life, you get more experience. Versus rejection virtually, you can send out. That is another thing. When it comes to sales, if you were to send 1,000 emails, you may get 1 or 2 responses. But if you were to knock 1,000 doors trying to sell something, you are going to get a lot more responses, like astronomically higher responses, and real experience, and a real rejection, versus sending thousands of emails and nobody fucking responding, versus knocking on 1,000 doors and being like, hey, I have this product. I think you might be interested. They're like, no, first of all. And you're like, wait, hear me out. You learn more along the way of actually doing the thing than pursuing it in a virtual world. I still respect the virtual world, but at the same time, the virtual world should be an extent of your actual experience in the real world. Like, it should just be, I think we approach it wrong. I think the whole dating scene in the virtual space, yes, can work for some people, but at the same time, it doesn't teach you anything. Like, I don't mean to be a dick, but I have very little respect for men that get girlfriends on dating apps. I just can't. I'm like, you have no skin in the game. Like, you did not get really rejected. Like, it's not that much. It doesn't take that much work to swipe right and throw a catchy pickup line. Like, it does not. You just copy and pasted that bitch. Let's be honest. Like, you didn't actually.
Well, I feel like it's so prominent. I feel like it's not like men's fault.
Mhm.
It's just what was given to them, and it's just
Mhm.
natural for men to jump on the dating apps now. It's easy, and it's just like, scrolling on social media. It's just something you do. It's something everyone does. But as you actually learn and dive into it, it's just you learn it's not optimal. It's
Mhm.
not the best way to do it. And like you were saying, I think society is just so off put by rejection. It is destroying how we learn and how we grow and how we handle things. I mean, in social media, uh, you look at like how are you rejected in not social media? I mean, dating apps. How are you rejected in dating apps? They swipe left. You never know. I mean, you
Mhm.
never know, and that could be bad in multiple ways because, for one, you're not getting that rejection. You don't know who's attracted to you, what you're doing wrong, what you could do better. But in another aspect of it, you could very well be assuming just because they don't match with you that they're not into you or various reasons, right? And so all the women you're swiping right on that haven't even opened up the app, maybe deleted the app, you're assuming that you very well could be assuming that they aren't into you, and that it could be very discouraging. That's one thing I've learned. Actually talking to girls in real life, you'll learn that they're more attracted to you than you think if you're basing your premise off of just dating apps.
Mhm.
Because a lot of those girls, they're just, and there's one thing I heard that on dating apps, there's a lot of women that they already are happy with the way their dating life's going in person, and they just download the dating app. It's just another social media for them, just to swipe, just to entertain them. It's like, oh, look at this profile, oh, look at that profile, swipe, swipe, swipe. And so it's just you can't base your life off of these dating apps. You have to learn to deal with your rejection in real life. I know it's discouraging, and I feel like, yeah, like I was saying, society is so just off put by that rejection, when really that's some of the best thing for you. You go up to a girl and she says no thanks. I'm like, okay, cool. And it's just you learn from it and you grow from it, and that's on to the next one. And that's how anything is in life. You just got to keep at it, keep going. That girls will reject you, but I guarantee you, if you've been dating on your dating apps for most of your life and you actually go start talking to girls, there's going to be more that say yes to a date than you would think. I guarantee it. You gotta go out there, and you'll get more dates talking to girls in person than you will on the dating apps. I guarantee it.
And it's also more attractive when a guy has the confidence to walk up to a woman and be like, hey, I like your hair. Like, I think it's really pretty. Or, hey, Loved your shirt. Thought it was really cute. Just wanted to let you know. Like, that shows so much more to a woman than somebody sliding in their DMs, being like, hey, think you're fine, whatever. Just, they respect the in person confrontation so much more. And they're always going to, because it is a risk. It is a real risk. And it takes real confidence. And we know that. We all know that. Intrinsically, we know that. Not just women, but guys. Like, we know it's a risk and it takes real confidence. Because think of it like on Xbox Live. As a kid, when kids would talk mad shit to each other, like kids would be like, hey, F you, beat the F out of you. But in real life, if you were standing in front of them, they wouldn't say that shit. They'd be like, what's up, man? Like, they don't have the actual confidence to say those things. In a virtual space, you have the confidence to say whatever you want because you're untouchable. In real life, you have to put some real skin in the game. Like, for that kid or that person who's talking smack to you on Xbox Live, they have to put some real skin in the game if they're going to say that kind of stuff to you in person. And that skin in the game in real life would probably get their ass beat. They'd get real rejection in real life. And it's the same thing with these like dating apps versus real life. Is like, it is harder. It's a lot harder to do it in person. It's a lot harder to meet people in person. But the reward is astronomically higher. And the growth is astronomically higher. And I understand taking things in bite-sized chunks, but I think the growth you make from just trying and getting rejected in person violently outweighs the virtual rejection. Like, insanely outweighs. It's not even in the same playing field. Like, it's a completely different playing field. And women just respect it more. They value it more. And not to be a dick, but a girl who gets a boyfriend on a dating app in a relationship, if a man were to walk up to her and be like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I think you're really pretty, has more respect for that man than her current boyfriend who slid in her DMs. I'm sorry, but that's the facts. Like, that's true. In that moment, she's like, wow, that's impressive. Not all women. I'm not saying all of them, but the majority of them respect that kind of confidence, and they will respect it more than their current relationship. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. That's just the truth. Is like, confidence, especially when there's real skin in the game, is respected a lot higher than the virtual sliding in of the DMs. And personally, I never want to be that guy who like gets the girl on the dating app and then dudes are actually hitting on her in public. Like, I'd feel like a pussy, dude. I'm just saying, like, I would feel like an absolute pussy if I slid into her DMs, got her that way, but other men in public are willing to speak to her. Me as a man, I spoke to my woman in public, risked it all, got her, right? Now, if men were to walk up to her and be like, hey, whatever, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Because I know I put in the work, and I did the thing. Yes, they're trying, but it's different. The value we place on actual, like, in-person interaction is so much higher than the DM. And it's the same with women. They value the in-person interaction versus the sliding in of the DMs. And I would never want to look at my relationships that way ever in my life. Be like, oh, I didn't try and I got it. Versus like, I tried hard. It was scary and I got it. I think that she will always view me as higher value than these other people that would even the men that probably try and slide in the DMs in life. Like, say you did risk it all in person and you got the girl. Afterwards, men that slide into her DMs, she's not going to give a shit. She's going to be like, delete, wasting my fucking time. Don't message me. I don't care. Because she places so much more higher value on you for putting the skin in the game, risking it, and showing you are confident versus the men just slide in the DMs. She views them as weaker. It's just, that's how it is. It is a weaker form of approaching and trying to get a mate. I'm sorry, that sounds so mean, but it's true. Like, it is a weaker form of getting a mate. It is weaker. I'm just going to say, fuck you guys.
Well, If you look at the dating apps, it's just like, what do the girls have to go off of to judge who you are and judge your character? What, a few photos and a few words you put in a bio, and they're going to judge you based on all of that? And that's not an accurate premise of judging you. I guarantee you they get a better judgment of you by just looking at you in a place. They'll know you better that way. And they'll find more attraction in you that way. I guarantee it. And so when it comes to like talking to girls in public, yeah, it's 100% more valuable. And that's like in my experience, because I've experienced dating apps, you already got the attraction part out of the way. Like I was just talking about the other day, but for example, a first date on a dating app, you know what the first date on a dating app is? You have to learn that this person actually looks like what they look like. You have to learn that what they're saying on their bio is actually what they mean in their life. Like it's silly, but literally that's what your first date is determining. And I cannot count like how many, probably majority of dates I went on from dating apps is where I pick up that girl or I go up to her doorstep and that door opens and instantly I know it's not going to work out because she is not the photo that I saw. And it's so sad. And then I have to take her on a pity date because I'm not just going to like slam the door in her face and say, nope. So there I am, wasting my time, wasting my money. And don't get me wrong, like you could try to make it have a good time, but that's not the reason you're there. The reason you're there is to find a mate and to try to date. And so the difference of in person is you talk to this person instantly. You've already decided if you're attracted to this person instantly because you've already met each other in person. So now your first date can actually be productive. You can actually talk about each other's lives, where you want to go, what the future entails, whatever you want to go, whatever direction you want to take that. As in the dating app date is just lame. And if you think about it, you know, those pretty girls that you want to talk to, how many guys you think are sliding in their DMs? Probably a few. And so there's just no value to that. So you definitely have to take it in person because that instantly adds value to you. Like I said, you're instantly that one step ahead because they already decided if they're attracted to you. And so you just got to take that step and go in person because it is the advantage.
You talked about a very interesting perspective that I haven't thought of because I've honestly haven't spent really any time on dating apps in my life. I spent very little in my youth. And I didn't know this. But I see how it's true. How they have this virtual character that they're comparing you to that you created on this virtual. This is what you were just saying is they're comparing you to what they saw on the app, what they swiped on. And this is what you do is like you meet somebody and you're comparing it to the virtual character that they created, this avatar. And that's in the way. That is in the way of the actual interaction, which is kind of interesting to think about. I never thought about this, and it's weird that and when you said that, I was like, wow, okay. So when they're meeting this person off of the dating app, they're comparing it to this virtual character that they've interacted with versus in person, when you go up and put skin in the game, that's your first impression, right? That's the first impression you get. When you meet and you speak to somebody and you put some skin in the game, that's your first impression. You get a real interaction. You see how they speak. You see how their voice sounds. You see a few of their mannerisms. And so you get that real first impression. Whereas people on these dating apps, their first impression is a virtual avatar that they're comparing you to. Whereas like in real life, it's not. So you get that first impression, and then after on that first date, you're just getting to know more about them. You're like, I liked this person. If you don't get rejected, so you don't get rejected, you give the girl a compliment. She's looking at you. She's like, I kind of like this character. I'd like to see them again. And they agree to a date or whatever. When you go on that initial date or whatever, they're not comparing you to other character. They may be slightly comparing you to that first impression, but they're not lining things up like, oh, his voice is now different. Like the voice is the same, right? The mannerisms are going to be the same, maybe not a little less like nervous, because obviously the first time you shoot your shot in person, you're going to be nervous. That's okay. And so second time you're hanging out, maybe you're a little less nervous, whatever, but they're not comparing you to a virtual avatar. They're comparing you to the first time they met you. And so it's a lot more real. It's a lot more like, and so it's kind of funny. You'd say a majority of these dates that you went on, You're like, does this person match up with what they said they are in this dating app? Whereas an actual real in-person date, it's like, let's find out more about this person instead of whatever they created this character, whatever. You're just wanting to get to know more about this character and this real person and what they believe in. You don't have any preconceived like dispositions that you're comparing them to, and it's like having a judgment sheet before you actually meet the person, before you actually like pursue their personality, like find out what they're about. And so if certain things automatically don't line up to this avatar that they created, you're going to be put off. You're going to be automatically put off. I mean, right? Wouldn't you be? Like, it would make sense to be put off if they don't match their avatar, which is fucking crazy. How can you compare to a virtual avatar? That's crazy to me. That's absolutely wild. Like, it's impossible. You can't.
That's dating apps for you.
That's so wild to think about.
It's very challenging because, I mean, it's hard because, like I said, I've come to several instances where, like, I'll get to that door and I'll see her physically for the first time, and I instantly just decided no, because her picture didn't match up, and maybe she wasn't even bad looking. Maybe she was all right looking, but it didn't match the picture. I've already decided no, because that has shown me her character. She is not who she says she is. So that automatically says no. Maybe she's a great person. Her true character, not the character she showed me. But I've already decided no because it didn't match stuff. And so that's the problem with dating apps is I feel like a lot of people are portraying something that they aren't really. They're portraying something that they want other people to see them as. When your character is different. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges when it comes to dating apps. And I mean, there are certain things you might be able to do in the dating app atmosphere to maybe try to kind of prevent some of that stuff. You could say, hey, let's do a video call really quick. But in all reality, that first date, you're still going to have that, like, how much do they actually match who they really are? Because you can always fake it, unless you're actually in person. But that's the beauty of being in person is instantly you already eliminate that. If they say yes to that first date or that first hangout, they're into you. They're into you. They may not see the full iceberg, but they've seen the tip and they're like, I kind of like that. I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to see what's under that iceberg. As in that dating app, they have no idea what they're going into.
That's so interesting. That is so wild to think about. And I never thought about that. But that's probably the same on both sides. It's like women swipe right on this guy, and then they meet him in person, and they're like, man, are you serious? This guy doesn't match up with the AI videos and pictures he threw up on this like page or whatever. That's probably the same thing both ways. And it puts you at an incredible disadvantage. Like, you're trying to compete with an avatar that you created. Maybe it is somebody that you want to be. Maybe these characteristics that you've put on this profile entail somebody that you would like to be, but it's not somebody you are at the moment. And I think that would be completely unfair to yourself, and you would be doing yourself a disservice to try and portray that as your first impression. I think because then they try to hold you to that standard, and because you can't meet that in the moment, you can't be that person. You're going to fall short, and you're not going to like the situation. I think it's better to meet. It just proves my point that it's better to like put the skin in the game and meet them in person, and like shoot your shot in person, out in the wild, in grocery stores. If you like baking, go to the baking section. Often talk to people. They're like, oh, I'm trying to bake something. What would you recommend? Like, you like to ride your bike? Ride your bike around town. You find other people riding their bike, ask them questions, shoot your shot. And I think that's really funny. I never thought about that. The whole, like, comparing them to this picture that they put up. That's so wild. Because, like, in real life, you're seeing all of the, like, not all of the flaws, but you're seeing a lot of them on the surface. Like, say you're unshaven, and you're a little scruffy and you're in the baking section, you want to bake something or whatever, and a girl walks up is in the area, whatever, and you're like, oh, I want to go talk to that girl. You're like, hey, I'm trying to bake something, and I just wanted your input, whatever, and you're just kind of shooting a shot. She's seeing you in your whole, like, full glory, like, whatever. And it's like, she's like, hey, like, oh, maybe we should hang out or whatever. She gets your information, and then she gets to see your, like, virtual profile. She's like, oh, when he's clean shaven, that's what he looks like. Oh, interesting. I saw him. He must have been so tired or whatever. And she's not comparing you to this virtual world of this perfect avatar. When you go on a second date to somebody you actually shoot your shot with in person, they're taking that first impression. And let's be honest, in person, you're not always at your best. You're not always in your prime looking great. There are a lot of days where you just didn't do your hair. You're not wearing your favorite t-shirt, whatever, for that picture. You're not, you know, you don't got your favorite cologne on, whatever it is. Like you're not that perfect avatar that you've created. You're just in person being you, doing the thing you enjoy doing. Working out. Great example. You're sweaty. Your hair is a mess. You're kind of a mess. Like that's your real you. And if people are like, oh wow, I like this, they're not comparing you to some virtual avatar that's like perfect photo. I like to work out. Like, no, they get to compare it to that sweaty dude they met in the gym that was like panting and kind of dying a little bit. They're like, oh yeah, no, you look great today. Last time we talked, you were sweating your ass off. Like, it's just there's so much more that goes into it that I think people just don't really they don't put a lot of thought into.
I like that because, I mean, if you look at it in terms of the dating app, you start with your best or who you think your best is or whatever best you want to portray. It's only downhill from there.
Yeah.
If you start in person, it's only uphill from there. In the gym, yeah, we're going to be sweaty. We're going to be gross. That's why I love it.
Mhm.
Like the girl sweaty, gross, just got done with the workout. It's only uphill from there because the date you're going to try to look your best. They're going to learn more about your personality, which is hopefully enriched with good things and only going to improve. So if you start with the dating app, it's only downhill from there. But if you start in person, it's only uphill from there. So I like that idea.
That is interesting to think about. One starts with the going downhill and one is going uphill. That is really cool. I like that. That is really cool. You are at more of an advantage mathematically, socially, and in all realms if you start in person. You already are at an advantage. You are already at a disadvantage if you start with the virtual world of dating apps. And that's kind of wild to think about. You have to compete with a virtual avatar, whatever you paint that avatar as. And trust me, you're not going to paint it shitty. Like you're not going to be like, let's take a pretty crap ass photo of me, unshaven, looking like shit, whatever. So that they're not, comparing you to your absolute best, or like, oh wow, he actually like looks great. Like you're not doing that. You're trying to get the best of the best for this social avatar that you're putting online. And that's so interesting to think about. That's so wild. I never thought of that. That's so funny. But yeah, like that's another thing. Like when I met Kaylee in the gym, like I was sweating. I was working out really hard. I was in my zone. I looked over and I was like, oh wow, And I was drenched in sweat. We've worked out together for so many years. Like when I work out, I sweat so much, like profusely. And I walked up to her like that. I didn't care. I was just like, oh, cool. I want to speak to this person. And I was drenched in sweat. I didn't give a shit. She saw me at my absolute worst, and that was the starting point. And so, like, I am at an absolute advantage already. And also, it shows that you are that person that they are seeking already versus gonna find out, on this virtual dating app. They say they like hiking or whatever. Oh, they say they like working out. Let's see if they actually like working out. Versus if you meet the girl in the gym, obviously she likes working out. Like, you don't really have to question that one. You're like, met you in the gym. How often do you go? I go 3 to 4 days a week. Cool, nice, awesome. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, we started off exactly where we wanted to start. And that's so wild. That's so crazy.
I think a big point is, we talked about in terms of like I mean, you could take it in a step-by-step process. Step one, delete your dating apps.
Mhm.
And then step two, you got to go where you think your girl's going to be. I mean, or go anywhere. I mean, start talking to girls. But I think, yeah, the most important step is in the terms of talking to them, and probably the most challenging step. And I think, like you said, like everyone's nervous. It doesn't matter how pro you are. I mean, you're going to go talk to a pretty girl, you're going to be nervous. Obviously, practice will help you with that. But I mean, one thing I was talking about earlier is I think we tend to overthink it way too much, um, in terms of, I mean, just the interaction with the girl. Like I was talking about how I overthink things. Like if she's in the middle of a workout, like I don't want to interrupt her workout. And then she goes to another workout. I was like, well, I don't want to interrupt her in that workout. And then before you know it, she's out the door and you miss your chance. You never see her again. That opportunity's long done. And so you can't overthink it. And I was talking about it, but there's a lot of videos and such that talk about dating and dating, maybe talking to girls in the gym, and like, don't talk to her when she's working out. Don't talk to her if she has her headphones on. We gotta wait until she's leaving the gym, and it gives you all these things. And in reality, if you follow all those things, you are never ever gonna get that chance to talk to her. And like one thing I've learned is you can't say maybe I'm going to talk to her, or I'm going to talk to her when the opportunity presents itself, or I'm going to talk to her just like the guide said, of when she's walking out the door, the headphones are down, and I'm going to talk to her right then. You'll never get that opportunity. I guarantee it. I've tried it myself several times. It doesn't present itself. Uh, Nothing worth it ever comes easy. You're going to have to do something challenging. You're going to have to interrupt her in her workout. You're going to have to walk up to her while she's on the Stairmaster. Like that's the truth of the matter is you just got to do it. Firstly, you got to decide I'm going to do it. And then secondly, you got to just do it. And I really liked what you said before is they just want, girls are waiting to be talked to. No one's talking to them. They're just waiting to be talked to.
Social interaction is real social interactions have gone down so much since COVID. And it is something that we do just cherish because we are tribal creatures. We do like social interaction, especially new people coming up and speaking to us. It's always exciting. It doesn't matter if you're 28 years old and you're in a grocery store just getting some groceries and a 50-year-old woman walks up to you and is like, hey, like, I wanted to let you know I love your shirt, whatever. You cherish that. You love it. It makes you happy. And we don't get it that much. We don't receive those kinds of interactions that much. And people, women, men, everybody wants to be talked to. Everybody wants to be like noticed. They want their existence witnessed in some form or another. We all crave witness of our existence. And yeah, it's true. These girls that these men are scared of talking to in the gym, they want to be talked to. There are very few that do not, that are like, do not bother me. And that's fine. They'll let you know when you talk to them. And that is perfectly okay. You're like, fine, won't do it again. Sorry for, interrupting your workout. Have a good workout. That's cool. Try again with somebody else. It's okay. And it's not bad. It's not a horrible thing. I know that there is a lot of negativity on social media pertaining to that. I've seen a couple of videos as like, oh, it's so wrong to like walk up to a woman and interrupt her in her workout. It's like, no, dude, talk to anybody. Who gives a shit? Everybody likes being talked to. And if somebody doesn't like to being talked to, they're just an introvert. That's okay. Respect their space after that, But all in all, the majority of people, majority of women, you want to walk up to and say, hey, want to let you know, liked what you're doing, or liked your shirt, love your hair. They want to be admired. They want to be complimented. They want to be noticed, witnessed. And you'd be very surprised. The majority of them will be like, oh my God, thank you so much. It's like, oh, cool. Like, just wanted to introduce myself, whatever. And they're like, oh, my name's this,
Well,
majority of people you meet.
in my experience, like I said, I've been using dating apps a lot, and it's been bad experiences. But recently, like over the past year or two, I've been deciding, to try to talk to girls in the gym and such. And I'll tell you, every single one I talked to was an amazing experience. I mean, I'm sure in some states outside of here or whatever, you are gonna get those girls that may bite a little just because I don't know, they're Karens. But every single girl I have talked to in the gym, amazing experience. Like super happy I talked to them, super friendly, and I went out of there like so happy that I actually talked to that girl. Like, and a lot of them like it never got to a first date. It Some of them went to a first date, never got to a second, but the experience itself was amazing. I mean, it's like so you got to realize like you going and talking to that girl, it's going to be a good experience. I mean, your only bad experience might be that Karen, 1 out of 100. But most girls, they're going to be super friendly about it. Even if they aren't interested, they're going to say hi. They're going to introduce themselves and they say, you know what, I'm not interested in the first date, or I have a boyfriend, I'm married, whatever it is. It's fine. They're going to be friendly and they're going to be happy that you talked to them. They're going to be happy that you complimented, introduced yourself, however you want to approach them. You got to learn that there's nothing to be scared of. I mean, you're going up to them because they're attractive. How would they take that negatively? Like, that's going to do nothing but boost their egos. Like, wow, see, someone's attracted to me. Like, there's been times when girls that I don't find attractive approach me and compliment me or whatever, are interested in me. And it doesn't matter that I'm not attracted to them. It still feels good. It still feels good. It's like, see, someone finds me attractive. And so you got to realize that there's things that try to off-put us in our heads as men. We overthink things, but in reality, like going and talking to these girls is going to do nothing but good for both sides. You're going to learn, you are going to have an opportunity for a relationship, and that girl's going to get a good compliment, get to meet someone. And so it's a win-win. You just got to go talk to them.
Out of, if you were to give a gauge of how many times are good out of 10, good interactions, let's put a gauge of good interactions. 1 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Out of 10 interactions, how many of them are positive interactions? Not saying progressing to a date or anything, but are positive interactions.
10 out of 10 for me. I have not had one of those Karens, luckily, not yet. But honestly, 10 out of 10 for me have been amazing interactions, awesome experiences. And I left that conversation, short conversation of just me introducing myself the first time. I left all of those just super happy I just talked to them.
See, and that's a testament that it's like, it's worth it. Like it's worth it to try in person. You get so much more out of it, even if it never progresses to a first date. It's always better to just get the compliment out or meet somebody new. Say you never, go on the first date, whatever, you make a friend out of it. That's amazing. Or you just made somebody's day better. Like that's 10 out of 10 times it's good. And just speaking from experience over the last, God, I've been going to commercial gyms since I was 16. And I would say negative experience wise, like shooting shot in person, probably 1 out of 50, maybe. 1 out of 50 were negative. 49 out of 50 were positive. Positive isn't like, oh, thank you, whatever, and like good interaction, but there's sometimes they're like, oh no, have a boyfriend, whatever. They're always positive. And I can say always because it's a very, very small percentage that are negative. It's like literally out of 100, it's only 2%. Like it's so small. As long as you're doing it respectfully. If you are being a shitbag and saying something incredibly inappropriate, expect it to go horribly. But if you are being kind, if you are being sincere, and you say something that's, appropriate and respectful, it's going to go well. And I think we overlook that. I think the majority of people overlook that you gain so much more doing it in person. And when you get a relationship, for all the men out there, when you actually get one of the best pieces of advice you should ever learn. I feel like I should put this out there just because I've talked about it so many times. And I think since we are on this subject of dating or relationships or whatever, I think this should be said anytime there's any conversation of dating, relationships. When it comes to relationships, something that has bothered me for the last few years, because I used to think very poorly. I used to have a really unhealthy mindset when it came to relationships. And I feel like my understanding of relationships is a lot better now. And I've said this plenty of times, and I'll say it many more times, but there's a quote by Shane Goiskin that I always repeat, and it applies to every relationship that you ever get into. Love is a currency that functions in reverse. So the only way to be wealthy in it is to give more of it away. And in relationships, this is just the biggest piece of advice that I ever learned was, if you want something to go well, give more love. Like, give a lot more. It's the same in sales, it's the same in everything. Give, 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 and finally people are going to be like, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? Like, how can I help you? How can I improve your life? And I think far too often, when we get into these relationships or whatever, a lot of times, when people shoot their shot, they get the girl, they go on the dates, and things are going well. When things are going bad, a lot of the times, we overlook it, thinking that it's just that person being a dick or whatever, when in reality, we're not doing enough. We're not actually trying. And I like that quote because when you look at love as something to be given, as something to just constantly to be given to feel good, it applies to joy and happiness and to all of these things. When you give a compliment to somebody, it feels good. When you tell somebody you believe in them, it feels good. Not only for a moment, but sometimes for weeks. When somebody gives you a compliment, it feels good for a moment. It may feel good for a little bit longer. But it does not last as long as when you are giving the love, when you are giving care, when you tell somebody you believe in them, when you tell somebody you like their shirt, when you give a kid a high five. Yes, when it's a kid, you give a kid a high five, that kid's going to think about that high five for the rest of the fucking month. But as an adult, when you're giving compliments, when you're giving love, when that love is coming from you, it lasts longer in you. And I've had a lot of family issues recently around this subject, and I think a lot of people forget that, like, if you want to feel loved, then give it. Like, if you want love, then give it. Because nobody's going to make you feel loved. Nobody can make you feel loved. Nobody can give that experience to you. They can give you a sense of value and love. But when you are giving it, when you are giving the love, you feel it for a lot longer than whenever you receive it. And since we're, on that subject, I think that's just something important to remember is the only way you can fuck it up is by trying to take too much out of a relationship, trying to take love, this person doesn't do enough for me. Just because that is one thing in relationships that I think, especially myself, I overlooked as a kid. In my youth, I'd get into a relationship and it's like, oh, they're not doing enough. They don't do, they're not enough in these aspects, this areas, whatever. And it's a shitty way of thinking, man. It was the worst way to look at relationships. And it was just pure self-sabotage, man. It set everything on fire, every relationship on fire before. And I found the most harmony and the happiest relationship I've experienced, which is the one I'm in now, is because I just continually give love as much as possible. And what you find is people give it back. They're just mirrors. Humans are just mirrors. And so, like, when you go out and shoot your shot with a woman in person, you're like, hey, just wanted to let you know, like, love what you're doing, thought it was great. That smile, that reciprocation of energy, like you said, 10 out of 10 times, it's a pleasant experience. They're mirroring that, that happiness back. You get that happiness and that love back. Don't expect it immediately in relationships. But in in-person interaction, stuff like that, you will find the more love you give, the more you receive. So I have to throw that out there. Have to.
Well, I think that's, if not the most important thing when it comes to all of this, is like, what are you seeking in a relationship? And so start giving out that love and find where it gives back. I mean, in terms of, a single girl that might be interested, you go and you show that, and she very well can reciprocate it. And let's see, going down the line here, let's say you go to a girl who's not interested, and you go and you give her the compliment, and she's like, thanks, but I'm not interested. And you say, that's fine. I just want to let you know you're pretty. Um, and maybe even play off of that. Say, well, do you have any other pretty friends that maybe I could talk to? I'm trying to talk to girls. Same thing with maybe a married woman. Is like, she's like, I'm married. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I just wanted to compliment you, but maybe you have friends that I could talk to or something. I think love can always bring you towards success as long as you're keeping that. I mean, if you say, oh, I'm married, it's like, oh, fine then. Yeah. Or you try to play the card like, I've seen some people's like, or like I'm in a relationship and they say, well, I could be a better relationship. I don't think that's a good way to play it. Instead, you should play off of the love card, and maybe she will turn around and come back to you as long as you're playing it in the good, caring, loving aspect. I mean, even in the terms of the worst case scenario of the Karen, maybe you start walking up to her and she's like, I'm in the middle of my workout. Don't bug me. And you could just say, hey, I just wanted to say you're pretty, have a good workout, walk away. And, maybe next time you see her, you kind of wave at her and say hi. And maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe she had a bad attitude about guys approaching her in the gym. Maybe there was like a creeper that really wouldn't stop bugging her, and it just like put her off to guys in the gym. But I feel like always in regards to that, just as long as you just give that love and you don't take any negative energy out of it and you don't give any negative, because then obviously you'll reflect that and get that back. But as long as you're giving that positive all the time, I feel like it's always going to bring you to where you want to go. It's going to get you that result. It's going to get you that girlfriend. Just stay positive and keep going at it. And I think, yeah, it's like I said, if not the most important thing when it comes to all of this.
Don't try and take, just try and give. Constantly try and give. That's honestly one of the best lessons I've ever learned in my life is, and it applies to everything I've been doing and trying to do, especially recently, is impact. It's like positive impact. Because for so long I lived like depressed and anxious and frustrated and lived in this like chaotic world constantly. And for the last few years, I'd say 2 years, it's gotten really good. And the reason my life has been really good and very peaceful and very joyous is I just made a decision to just spread love and joy in everything that I do. Every interaction, every person I meet, no matter what it is, I kind of keep a stoic side of like, I don't care what they say. I don't care if it's positive or negative. I'm going to continue to implant like this love all around me. And what I found was it mirrors back aggressively. If you don't say you give out love and what you get back is like negative energy, I see it as like if you had a cup of like really filthy, like dark red or black water, and you started to pour water into it, and out of it comes like that dirty, filthy, red or black water. It's like, what if you filled your cup with this energy for so long and you start to pour love out, and what you get back is that like shitty energy, right? Because that's what you've been filling that cup with. If you keep putting love in, that dirty, filthy, disgusting water is all going to be gone at some point, and the only thing to be coming out of it is going to be love. It's going to be joy. It's going to be happiness. And I feel like that's basically what's just been happening in my life is this, over the last few years, it's just this constant outpouring to everything around me, everybody around me, everything around me is like, I'm just going to emphatically choose love. And for a while, it was like this negative energy shooting back at me. And it was because of my youth, because the majority of my youth was spent just angry at everything. And so I got a lot of like negative energy coming back at me, even though I was planting a lot of love everywhere. But now it's like, people fuel my success. Friends are like, yeah, I believe in you. You're like, yeah, like, let's do this. Let's work on this. Let's try this, whatever. And it's just this like, it's almost like this compatibility with everything around me. And I think that applies to just relationships in general. It's like when you put that love out, expect that if you put enough of it out, it's going to come back. Has no choice. Maybe you don't believe in karma or you don't believe in karma, but it's really hard to continually be a dick to somebody that is incredibly kind and nice to you. You can only do it so many times until you're like, all right, what can I do for you, man? Like, I feel really bad. I'm a dick to you for a really long time, right?
Yeah.
But you can't do it forever. So just in relationships in general. Always, always something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
All right. Should we talk goals?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. been for our listeners, some of them know that it's been a little while. It's been like 3 weeks since we
Yeah, it's
recorded,
been
so
a few weeks.
goals have changed a little bit.
I can't even remember what my last one was. It was probably in terms of impact and relationships and talking to people, I think,
Was
which I have been improving in, little by little, trying to make a positive impact. And in just in terms of this whole relationship talk, honestly, if you go above and beyond, and let's say in the gym, you're talking to everyone, it's just that much easier to, because you all the girls would know you, and then you could choose the ones you're attracted to, and kind of it's so much easier. And so yeah, definitely been trying to improve in that area, and been, I don't remember the exact goal, but it's been a while. In terms of creating a new goal, I think I'm going to set one that's a little abstract. In terms of, I believe in life you have to have chaos to create from. I think that's something we've touched on several times. Is you need material to create from, and if you don't have material to create from, then you can't create. And so I believe my life, every once in a while, I am an extremely organized person, and so every once in a while, I tend to travel in the path of organization. I organize my life so clear cut that it doesn't allow room for chaos and material to create from. And so my goal this week is I'm gonna try to have some chaos in my life. I want to unlock some creativity in forms of my music and everything. And so it's kind of an odd goal. Like, I would love to make more a SMART goal, but I don't know how to do that with this one. But maybe we could talk about it, if how my experience. But I want to add chaos this week into our terms of adding to my creativity. So
let's see. I feel like when it comes to adding to creativity, there's a very short book that comes to mind, and it's incredibly short. Like, you could read it in just an hour or two, a few hours maybe. And that's Turning Pro by Steven Pressfield. It's definitely like top 5 books for me. Should probably add it to my list, but actually I think it's on there already. But maybe one you could possibly check out and see, because it's a good one. It's literally like maybe that thick. Like, it's a tiny book. But my dad gave it to me when I was young. Never read it. Then I became an adult. Read it like last year, and I was like, shit. Should have read that a lot longer. A while ago. But it's really good for creative, like, chaos and harnessing it. Specifically, that we talked about way before, the muse, working with the muse. So, but yeah, I like that. Letting some chaos in to create with. Because that's all creation is just organized chaos. All right. My goal this week, maintain momentum. That's it. I just want to maintain the momentum that I've been harnessing. I feel like I've had a lot of chaos for a while, and I'm on this momentum streak, and I just want to maintain that shit. I just want to see how long I can carry this bitch. Like, I just want to keep going. So, just maintain my momentum. That's it for this week, for just things that I'm doing. Reading specifically. I've read a lot, and I want to keep reading. It's because I can't slow down. I shouldn't. I shouldn't slow down. I need it. I'm still technically behind on my goal. My goal is 50 books a year. I started super late, and technically I'm supposed to be it's June, right? It's the end of June. I should be at 26 books, I think, by now. Is that right? How many weeks in? No, I should be like almost 30, I think. I'm still technically behind, but I'm reading a lot, so I just need to just keep moving in the momentum that I have. So that's it. Just maintain momentum. I like that. Embrace chaos and maintain momentum.
Yeah. Good ones.
That should be our new motto. Embrace chaos. Embrace chaos, maintain
Oh
momentum.
gosh.
All right. That concludes episode
30.
30? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
30.
Dude. Episode 30 of 2 Minutes to Life. We will see you next week.